アグネアブリスターに行きます。
Howdy, Lad here. How's it going? We've got another traveler joining the rest of the travelers, Agnea. She is of the approved faction hailing from the memoirs of Celestia, along with Temenos and Particio. She is a wind dancer that has both good breaking capabilities and good buffing skills. Her passive is an inverse of EX Sophia's. Whenever she gives her allies a buff, she also buffs those same allies with a passion passive buff. And depending on how many characters have this buff, she either gains a level 1 passive or level 2 passive. This will affect her abilities and give her an extra added effect. Let's check her out. Inori Minase is her VA. We've definitely heard her before. She voices both Nicola and Serna in COTC. Not only that, but she also voices Best Girl Rem and Farina from Genshin Impact. Good to see her again in COTC. Let's check out Agnea's damaging skills. First ability is a SP cost of 76. It's a 3-hit single target wind elemental damage that also hits Fan with potency of 65. With Uplifting Dance 1, which is her passive, she lowers the enemy's physical and elemental defense down by 15% for 2 turns. With Uplifting Dance 2, she also lowers the physical and elemental resist by 15% for 2 turns. Her second ability is a SP cost of 51. It's a 3-hit single target wind elemental damage that also hits Fan. It's a potency of 45. With Uplifting Dance 1, this becomes a 5-hitter. With Uplifting Dance 2, this becomes a 7-hitter. Her TP skill is a SP cost of 90. It's a 3-hit AoE elemental wind damage attack that also hits Fan. Potency 95. It also allows the front row to act faster next turn if she's using 1 or more BP. Next, her EX skill. It's a turn 4 or after 4 more allies inflicted with the passion buff, and it has 2 usages. This allows her to go first. She raises all allies' physical and elemental attack and crit cap from 30 to 50% and a 30,000 damage cap up to 2 to 5 turns depending on the boost level. Her latent ability is a turn 2 or after, and she can reuse this after 4 turns. It extends all the target of her abilities that she cast. Let's say she uses a single target ability, whether it's a debuff or buff. For a single target for debuffing, it becomes all enemies. For a single target for buffing, it becomes a front row. And if she's using a front row ability, this becomes all allies. Her ultimate at level 1 gives all allies 5% physical and elemental attack up and crit up for 2 turns. At level 10, this becomes a 10% physical and elemental attack and crit up for 3 turns. For her notable support skills, her first one is SP cost 98. The single target physical attack, defense, and crit up for 30%. And if there's 4 allies with passion or Uplifting Dance 1 target, she gives that target an SP restore 20. With 7 allies with passion or Uplifting Dance 2, she restores 1 BP to that target. Her second support skill is a front row elemental attack and defense and crit up for 15%. If there's 7 allies with passion, she gives them a 15% elemental damage up for 2 turns. And her third ability is the same thing, but now she gives the front row a physical attack and defense, and crit up for 15%, and with 7 allies with passion, she gives them a 15% physical damage up for 2 turns. For her passive, her first one, she gives passion to all allies when using buffing abilities for 3 turns. Passion is a physical and elemental attack up and crit up for 5%. For her second passive, she gives herself a 30% wind damage up. Uplifting Dance 1, which is an SP region, potency of 10. 4 more allies have passion onto them. And then she gets Uplifting Dance 2, which is a self 1 BP recovery, if 7 or more allies have passion on them. Then she has a 10% in wind resistance and 20 in lightning. Looking at her stat, her SP is incredibly high at 544 at level 100 and 614 at level 120. Along with that, as most dancers, she's also pretty fast at 382 at level 100 and 447 at level 120. Her HP and physical defense are on the lower side, so don't expect her to be taking damage too well. So the main question, should you pull? Agnea was one of my favorite characters in OCTOPATH 2. She never left my party, but her story was definitely by far the weakest in OCTOPATH Traveler 2. In COTC, she potentially could have some uses. Other than the overcomplicated passive that she has a high potential for fast clears. If you gave her an accessory like August, where she's able to get her ultimate right away, and using her ultimate, which buffs all allies, she is then able to give all allies her passive passion buff, which gets her to Uplifting Dance right away. This then opens up for her being able to use her EX skill on turn 2, which increases the attack cap from 30 to 50%. Then on turn 3, she's able to use her latent ability, which increases the target number. So let's say for example you use her 98 SP that has a single target buff of 30% attack up. With her latent ability, she's able to use this buff for the front row. So within 3 or 4 turns of her using her ultimate on turn 1, she's already able to provide very strong buffs meant for quick clears. If you also needed her for breaking for either wind or fan, with her Uplifting Dance 2 active, she's able to hit up to 7 times. She's definitely used more as a support than anything. All of her abilities are things that we've seen before, unfortunately, but all of her abilities flow well together. Her A4 accessory gives you 40 SP and 100 SP, along with giving the entire front row a 30,000 damage cap up. This is a good accessory. It's not a must-have, but it's more of a really nice to have. The same can also be said about Agnea. She's also a nice to have unit that will provide quick buffs to your entire team, and she does it well if you have the prerequisites ready for her, like Augustus A4 accessory. For Wills, she'll be a great addition to your team for fast clears, and for free-to-play individuals, she'll be a good addition to your team, and she'll eventually get your entire team buffs eventually. Now longevity, I can still see her being used in the future. Obviously, overpowered characters in the future will already have their attack caps set at 50%, but for characters up until then, she does a great job as a buffer. For quick clears, pair her along with our buffed Xenia, and you'll be shredding through enemies real quick. Let's go ahead and finish up. Character design 4.5 out of 5. For some reason, she reminds me of a peacock. Maybe it's her color palette. Other than that, I like her simplistic look. A corset along with her mother's dress. Simple and clean. Her VA 5 out of 5. Inori Manase is one of the more notable VAs out there. Abilities 3.5 out of 5. Her abilities flow really well together, but again, those are buffs and debuffs that we all seen before. Longevity 3.5 out of 5. Right now and up until we get to the real strong travelers, she'll have a good usage. One of the main problems is that you'll have to switch out one traveler out of 8 that you bring along to include her into your composition, and that might be difficult as we already have so many good travelers to bring along. Then global buff 0 out of 5. Time limited, yes, she is. Overall impression 3.5. She definitely feels like a premium unit. Her best awakenings that would prioritize if you were to get her is her ultimate to level 10 first, as that's an additional 5% stat increase in one turn, then getting her A4 accessory. So pretty much maxing her out. Other than that, at Awakening 0, she's fine. Alright, well that was it for Agnea. I'll probably be doing a few polls to get her. I do like her as a character. Let me know if you'll be polling for her. I'll catch you next time. Take care of yourself, lad out.